Didn't forget the recording.
Yeah, welcome in everybody. Thanks for joining.
Just give it about one more minute and then we'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
What's up? What's up, Jason?
Woohoo. Aries just called me too, so he's gonna be joining. I know we have gonna have
Sweet,
New
sweet.
York in the house here.
Nice, nice. Yeah, there should be either a chat or maybe it's called Q&A where you can type in questions, right? But we can use that as kind of a chat. So if everybody wants to type in kind of where they're based out of, where they're located right now. Um,
Spain,
Spain.
Joining from.
Oh,
Dallas,
Nikki. Okay.
Nice, nice.
Dallas.
Sweet.
BW,
I
uh,
know we're gonna have
Oh, that would probably be
Clinton. Clinton from
Barbara.
Paris.
Yeah,
Hey,
Barbara got
Clinton.
the DR in the house.
Randy, Iris, Takuna.
Oh, Iris, you made it. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so it's 2 minutes after. We'll get started. Let me roll right into here. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Janine Ehrentrout. Many of you know me as Swiss Miss. Not the hot chocolate, but it's catchy. But welcome. So I'm excited about this webinar. We're going to learn, we have guest speaker Andrew Kopak and Pete Sager. Wonderful, wonderful. And it's all about let's turn your Instagram into a global lead gen machine. Why are global buyers and investors, let me move this, or on social media now? Why do most agents get views but no clients? Have you heard that before?
Mm.
Many times. So today, in this 30 minute to 40 minutes, you'll learn how to attract international leads with IG, Instagram. Number two, convert leads into deals. And number three, use a repeatable system. And definitely stay to the end. Andrew and Peter are going to give a tip of the week, so stay till the end. So let's dive in. And our first guest speaker is Peter Sager, Texas Frisco. So Peter is an international language specialist, speaks 8 different languages, very impressive. Influencer with 38 million plus views, leveraging social media. And we just talked not too long ago, it was 1 million. Now you're already at 38 million. Business development strategist for entrepreneurs and investors. Former college athlete, discipline, performance, and mindset driven. Welcome, Pete. I'll let you
Thank
take it
you.
from here.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Thank you guys for attending. We really appreciate it. The first thing that I do want to say is this is not just strictly for Instagram, but there is a large audience in the real estate. We do want to cover if it's for small business, a product, anything that you need for a CRM, or you're trying to manage leads that come in, or you're having difficulty with that, which Andrew will touch on later. So I ventured into the social media realm about 18 months ago, and I just pushed 30. I just hit 38 million views, and I've been USA Today, New York Times, international newspapers, etc. So I've over the course of time, I've learned how to do this, and I think like everybody else, I probably paid some money at one time to a company or to a post that I saw that absolutely did nothing for me besides upset me and make me grind and push myself into figuring all this out for myself. Within the last 8 days, I've had a post hit a million. Um, and they do vary from platform to platform. Depending on what business you're pushing, what niche it is, and where you are, there are platforms that can help a little bit more than others. So, with that being said, thank you guys for attending, and we'll jump right into this. What I normally do, and a lot of people don't understand this, is that when I say because I speak the 8 languages, a lot of people will think that this is just strictly for foreign speakers or people that are trying to leverage the U.S. market. But it really breaks down to the English language itself and the algorithms and how you can, so to speak, manipulate them to suit your benefit and to leverage. So we're talking about turn language into leads. This is obviously luxury real estate webinar. Attract global investors using Instagram algorithms. However, it's not just limited to Instagram. A lot of people don't know that YouTube is the #1 search engine used for educational material. I see a lot of people have great products or real estate or anything else, and they don't understand the power of YouTube. There's another thing too is once you reach a certain level on all of these platforms, then you will start to get paid. Now, it is insignificant at first, but what I did was I pushed as much as I could. So now, if I do need to pay someone or go out on another avenue, you can use that revenue that you've generated from your own posts. I don't do that because I obviously have figured out the way or ways to get to attraction and views and leads and closes. Um, we'll talk a little bit later about building international deal flow and authority with precision. Next slide, please. Um, okay, so global opportunity. And this is not just for, I know that there are people out there who have products or that have schools or that have fundraising, etc. You can set these to where you can get fundraising coming in from anywhere. You can get leads coming in from anywhere. So they're always searching internationally. Buyers consume content on Instagram daily. I don't know if anybody really understands how much kids or young adults or all the way up to 50 years old have a phone in their hand and are spending time on these platforms. I've been in large cities and seen people almost get hit walking across the street because they're so glued to their phone and they feel like that reel is so important that they just ignore the traffic. So it boils down to you have to take advantage of people who are on these platforms because they are potential customers. We all, I mean, you can raise your hand in the chat, but how many of us have bought a impulse on something that you saw on social media, whether it suited you or not, but at the time it felt amazing. And then maybe when you got it, if it dealt with social media and increasing your leads or anything else, you were like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have done that. But it happens. Um, Language outside of the foreign language is always going to be to your advantage. You have to know the tags, the hooks, the CTAs, all of those things in order to retain attention. I think it's a fact on almost every platform that people stay zero point 0.3 seconds on a post before they scroll if it doesn't engage. And that will lead to some of my tips, one of my tips at the end on how to retain this and how to really push your material out. Next slide, please. Okay, how's Instagram? And this is not just for Instagram, you guys, and it's not just for real estate. It's for everything that is going on out there. Is how the algorithm works is rewards the watch time, the saves and the shares. I think a lot of people know that. Some of this material we're going to go over is basic. However, there are a lot of nuances within it that we'll talk about on the next couple of them. Distributes content by language clusters. Expands reach beyond geographic borders. We all know that if you get on to a platform that if you've liked something in a different language, or you may have seen a beautiful landscape of Switzerland or of Mexico or somewhere else, it's going to start to train you in that, your algorithm in that area. Next. So the language and algorithm expansion, multilingual subtitles increase reach, captions in multiple language will widen exposure, spoken language influences distribution. Within this, there are a lot of tricks that you can do to help further push your content out, which could be typing in, if you say you're trying to attract a Spanish market, or you want some buyers from France or whatever the case is. There's a lot of things that you can do within the back of the post that people don't see. For example, you're going to take all those keywords and you're going to put them into a box, and you're going to pull it down, you're going to shrink it and pull it off the screen. You're going to find certain music that is trending in those countries or in this country, and you're going to pull the volume all the way down. But it's going to read that initially on your post because that is a trending music for that country, city, or actual niche that you're in, whether it be real estate or not. Spoken language influences distribution. I think that anytime that we get onto a post, especially for real estate and international dealings, that if you see someone who is not of that ethnicity or from there and you see that they're speaking that language, a lot of times that is an attraction that will pull people in. Next one. This A lot of people feel like they have this down or they understand what this is, but strategic hashtags. Now, you'll see a lot going back and forth, and I will tell you a lot of it is rage bait in terms of you'll see a post that says hashtags are out, or Instagram updated, there's no more hashtags, or TikTok or YouTube, or the truth is if 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 that if that were true, when you go to see those hashtags, why are there so many? It does help in a smaller effect on the algorithm. Some use it more than others. But the next one is GEO and SEO. I think a lot of people are familiar with the SEO. The GEO is just as important and is gaining a lot of traction, and that's where it's kind of shifting toward. But we're not going to forget the SEO in terms of what you absolutely need to have in those. Combined city, country, investment terms, target US, European. Again, we're trying to go global. Even if you have a whether it be real estate or anything else that is small, that is your product that you're trying to push, or you're trying to bring leads in, you should be targeting everywhere. Sure, your main city or wherever you are, you're going to use that as your location. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but lately some of these platforms have taken off United States. Before you could tag United States and it would allow you to spread out. Now it's going to specifically to cities, etc. Um, Avoid generic overused hashtags. That is true in some sense and some not. When you get onto platforms that only allow 5 or they only allow a certain amount, sure, you don't want to use the same one because then you're competing with all those fish in the sea that have posted, let's just say, and I excuse me, but I'm a huge fan, Seattle Seahawks. They won the Super Bowl. So if you just tag NFL, there's 2 billion on NFL. It's going to push you out into that pool. But if you tag and some of this is common knowledge. However, people think, oh, I have to follow what I've seen or what I've said. And keep in mind, a lot of times you will see these pseudo influencers or people pushing this content out, and it's just to get a reaction or start the comments because we know the more shares, the more likes, the more comments, the more that the algorithm is going to push your material. Next, please. Again, to reiterate, this is not just for Instagram, Facebook, which is connected, Threads on that as well, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X. A lot of people think that TikTok is more of a younger influencer type of platform. However, again, if you get into that algorithm and you set it, it will push you over. I'm in the Dallas area, from California, but I live in Dallas, and there are 10 million plus people here. There have I am in that side of it for real estate, and I know a lot of agents here have gotten deals because of TikTok. So I think the importance is that don't dismiss something because of what it generally is. You can always train the algorithm to get into the niche that you need and reach the audience that you want. Some people like Twitter, some people don't. I had one in the summer hit like 5 million on Twitter, and I didn't even know it in terms of I posted it and walked off. And then New York Times called me, USA Today. Like I had no idea because I didn't follow it that much because I don't use Twitter. So it's just proof that you have to stay disciplined and just post. And I will get into some other things where you can find one site that will allow you to upload one video and it'll post it across all of your platforms and it'll break down the analytics of the best posting times for that niche and that material. Say from 2 to 4 on Tuesdays, this is where everyone who is liking or in the algorithm section of that is going to see this post. So I know that was a lot and I probably speak a little bit too quickly. However, I do get a little excited because again, I've been in this 18 months and I'm pushing, I would say in another 2 months, 40 million views. And with those coming out, I've really learned to leverage it and I learn every day with this. I do trials and tests, etc. So I'm super excited for you guys to be here, to possibly help with whatever product you have, real estate, or individual small business. So thank you, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Pete. That was wonderful. I really appreciate you and just knowing that you know all the algorithms. We'll call you the algorithm man.
Unfortunately, because it's been a trial and error.
Oh,
and
I
I do
bet.
think
I bet. Now we're
and
learning from
I
the expert.
yeah, and I do think that I should probably post one of my original ones from like 2 months in, where I probably stood up and just threw the phone against the wall because I was done. It's a joke, but yes, it was frustrating. But if you stay disciplined, you can get to it.
Absolutely. Consistency and discipline. Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you. And we'll get back to you then for the tip of the week at the end. But I want to introduce you to Andrew Kopak. Andrew. Andrew has a real estate automation entrepreneur and co-founder of Upscale Now, specialist in converting cold and existing leads into booking more appointments and closings. Now this is fun. Andrew has helped agents generate 5 million plus in closed deals. He's an expert in CRM optimization, which I know not everybody loves, including myself. So that's a wonderful skill to have. AI follow-ups and scalable growth strategies. Tech-driven business builder focused and saving agents time while increasing revenue. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Janine. And I know Pete already did kind of a little introduction, so I'll kind of skip past that. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening for wherever you're joining. Thank you guys for joining here. But yeah, like Janine just kind of touched on, what I'll be kind of diving into. Pete just kind of gave you the whole, hopefully how to generate some more leads using content and social media, and how to leverage that. And I'll be diving into actually how to convert more of those leads into clients and sales, because I'm sure we all know as business owners, not just in real estate, but whatever kind of business you're running, you can generate hundreds of thousands of millions of leads if you want. But if you can't close those leads and convert more of them, you're going to have a leaky bucket, as everybody says, and you're not gonna have success. So this first slide here is really just illustrating the difference between paid advertising and what I like to call database reactivations, or for the case of the webinar here, just for short, DBR. And so again, Pete kind of touched on it, but just to kind of give a little piggyback onto his stuff, outside of paid advertising, whatever business you're running, there's really only two ways to do marketing or to generate leads. Again, outside of spending money, there's really only two ways, which is one, doing outreach. So that's like on your phone, reaching out to people or sending emails, sending text messages, doing phone calls, right? That's not going to cost you anything. And then the second one, which is what we're kind of touching on here, is content. And I think that's one of the biggest things that, as a business owner, you can do is posting content, because you can reach hundreds of thousands of people. It's just about having a system that and a framework to turn those views into leads and then into sales, which I'll be touching on here in a little bit. And so the database reactivations are kind of a little bit of that system, right? Instead of paid advertising, you can see anywhere, just in real estate alone, you can see anywhere from hundreds of dollars cost per lead, where with database reactivations, you're re-engaging and kind of reactivating the leads that you're already sitting on. I like to say kind of collecting digital dust. I'm sure as business owners, we know we generate tons of leads, but only convert 20-30% in a month's time. And what are all those other leads doing? They're just sitting collecting digital dust. So I'm going to jump into some things that you can actually take away from this and kind of steal from this to actually start hopefully generating some deals from those leads today. So we can jump to the next slide here. So you're generating leads now, like what Pete talked about, using some of those strategies, kind of leveraging the algorithm. You're generating leads. Now, what's next? This is a little key, like just my last little cherry on top to what kind of Pete was talking about. These are the two types of buckets of content that I like to post, which is growth content and then conversion content. And just like Pete was saying, or he kind of touched on at the end there, to reiterate, we probably going to jump through this pretty quickly here. So if you want to take a screenshot of this or take a picture of this slide for later, totally fine. But these are just giving you some quick examples of content you can focus on to really start generating leads, other than just views, right? Of course, the growth content that'll generate a lot of eyeballs and generate your growth and views, but the conversion content will help turn those views into sales and into clients, right? So for the growth content, we're talking, how-to tutorials, tips and tricks, POVs, maybe hopping on trends or memes. That stuff is going to bring people into your profile, into your sphere of influence, and the conversion content is going to be what takes that stuff and actually converts those people that are coming in as views into sales. These are things like case studies, before and after, kind of comparing yourself to the competition, a little value comparison there, maybe doing some frequently asked questions about your product or service, achievements, right? Testimonials, case studies. These are all perfect examples of getting people to kind of trust you a little bit more and then hopefully buy from you, right? So just kind of giving you a couple little examples to piggyback on what Pete was talking about of like these two buckets of content. If you focus on these, you'll see a lot of success with generating the leads. So next slide here. We'll jump into two of my favorite ways to convert those views into leads. Once you're starting to post some more of that conversion content, like what I was just talking about, there's one of two ways that I really like to go about kind of capturing those leads, right? We've all probably seen this on posts on Instagram or Facebook where people saying like comment listing for more info or comment like a one word kind of phrase or keyword to capture these leads in. And so it's super easy. You don't have to like fill out a form. You don't have to do anything like that. All you do is comment on the post that one little keyword, and you'll start generating leads from those posts there. And I'm not going to really dive into the technical side of things on that, of how to capture leads into a CRM, but there's super simple kind of videos online about how to do that and tutorials. It's not super technical at all, but just setting this up, this is one of the key ways you can convert your views into leads and then hopefully clients as well, is posting some of that conversion content and then dropping in your caption there, comment, one little keyword there. If it's listing for real estate, or maybe it's agent, or maybe it's something to do with your product or service, you comment that one word, and then it triggers an automation to then send a DM to that person who commented, and then you can collect their information. Usually it's something along the lines of like, hey, send me your phone number or send me your email so that way I can send you this free guide or this more information on this. This is all done within the DMs there, and then you'll capture that information in your CRM. So this is one of the best ways to do it. I'm sure as I'm talking about this, you guys are thinking about some posts that you've scrolled past. You've seen that in the captions, right? A lot of people are using this. And then of course the next one here, Janine, which is pretty much just putting a link in your bio, right? And then in the caption there, just saying, hey, go check the link in my bio. These between these two ways here, if these are things you're doing on your conversion content on those posts, you'll convert a lot more of those views into leads themselves. And of course, this one's pretty kind of self-explanatory, but just putting a link in the bio for, your website, your landing page, maybe it's just a contact form, whatever it may be, but putting that in the bio. I can't explain how many people I've seen that they're doing content and they don't have a call to action. They're not doing some sort of system like these two here to convert those views into leads. You could do, maybe a mix of these two. You could focus on one of these two, but I'd highly recommend implementing some of these, because if you're just posting content and hoping for leads and hoping for clients, that's not a good system to run. You definitely want a repeatable system and framework like this, so we can help turn those views into leads, right? So, next slide, Janine. Now that we've, generated some leads, and now that you've captured those leads, what's next, right? We've reeled them in here. One of the biggest factors to, once you've got a ton of leads there, to people actually buying from you is how much you're actually staying in front of them. And so this is where, coming weaving back to those database reactivation campaigns, this is where those come in handy. And if you have a CRM, that's great. You can automate them and kind of drip out a little regular kind of text or email, which I would prefer to focus on text. I'll dive into that on the next slide here. But the main key point here is to not let your leads collect digital dust. Don't let them just sit in your DMs, in your spreadsheets, or in your CRM. Leverage those leads, because more than likely you're sitting on your next couple of sales, or if you're in real estate, maybe your next couple of deals, you're most likely sitting on those within your database there. So that's the key thing to remember, is don't let your leads collect digital dust. So the next slide here, Janine, will dive into really what I would say is my kind of non-negotiables, or like my basics for running a really good database re-engagement campaign. And really quick here, because I think there's a couple of people that like raised their hand. We'll have a quick little 5 or 10 minutes at the end here to jump into some questions and answers and stuff like that. But for the database reactivations, I would focus on text messages. Don't worry about emails. That's a whole nother monster within itself to make sure you're landing in the inbox and getting high deliverability and a little bit more technical. So really just focus on phone numbers and texting people. And when I say channel like SMS or iMessage, really what that is SMS is like the green bubbles coming from like Androids or like a CRM. And then iMessage is someone, for all my iPhone people out here, just texting people on your iPhone. That's going to be kind of like an iMessage or one of those blue bubbles. And so for the daily volume, how much I would be sending with an SMS, like if you're on Android or if you're running this automated on a CRM, I would try to do at least 100 a day. And then for iMessages, I would do around 50 a day. And you'd be surprised. I know these numbers might seem kind of surprising. You're like, oh man, Andrew, how am I going to put out this many numbers a day, right? You'd be surprised how much time you can, just putting aside 10 to 20 minutes a day. Maybe it's in the mornings, maybe just carving out a little bit of time there to sit down with your leads and with your leads in front of you and sending out a message to each one of them. You'd be surprised how many you can actually get through in a day. And again, I'm going to give you some frameworks here that you can copy and paste and you can kind of steal from the next couple of slides here. But the goal is really just to re-spark those existing conversations. Not trying to pitch anything, not trying to sound salesy just yet, but just to re-spark those conversations with that initial message and not try to pitch something or promote something or kind of market something immediately. You'll see kind of some of the messages here. Next slide, Janine. And just keeping that goal in mind of like, hey, you're just trying to respark the conversation and following this framework right here. This is another one you probably want to take a quick picture of. These next couple of slides here, you probably want to take a quick screenshot of. But this is the framework I use, which is really just having their name in there, some micro context or like kind of a soft reason of why you're reaching out to them, and then a simple question. That's it. Just three parts to the formula. And this right here can generate a lot of kind of hand raised or a lot of interest in what you're talking about, what you're reaching out to them about, and kind of re-engage in the conversation with. So the next slide here, Janine, will dive into just really a quick kind of real estate example. And then on the next slide, I'll have something for you guys that's kind of a prompt that you can actually use and steal for ChatGPT or your favorite AI tool to actually use and generate for your own product or service if it's not in real estate. This is something though for like sellers. If you're contacting a lot of sellers, right? You can say, hey, Pete, this is Andrew here with International Global Real Estate. You'll have to comment on my Instagram. Quick question or quick questions, I guess. Quick question. Are you still considering selling in the next 6 to 12 months if the price made sense? Very simple. You can see how it's following that formula there. It's putting their name in there, giving them a soft micro kind of reason of why you're hitting them up and reaching out to them. So they're not like, oh, who is this guy? Like, why are they reaching out to me? Right. You get a ton of stops or unsubscribes, right? That'll kind of eliminate that. And then just giving them a very simple question, a very simple, easy to respond question. Yes or no is usually the best. And on the next slide here, I'll actually show you this right here is what you could use. If you're not in real estate, you can use this prompt right here. Take a screenshot or take a picture of this here because you'll definitely want to use this maybe right after the webinar here. Put this into ChatGPT, kind of fill in the blanks there with your information, your audience, whether you're hitting up past leads, customers, followers, if this is going to be something you're setting up on the kind of back end of Instagram. Put this into ChatGPT, fill out the little information there, and you can see where it says on the bottom line there for tone, ending with one easy to answer question, either a yes or no, or you can get a little bit technical and you can even have to answer in like a 1, 2, or 3. So like 1 is yes, 2 is no, 3 is a maybe. I've done ones like tested that out and it works pretty well. So either one of those, just making it a very easy to answer question or just replying with like a number. And that way you can see, oh, all the people that are replying 1 are the yeses. And then it just makes it easier for them to reply. You don't want them to skim through this long paragraph and go, oh man, I have to reply something to that, right? You want to make it very easy and simple and straightforward for them to reply to these. So yeah, again, before we move on for the next slide here, take a picture of this or a screenshot. Hopefully you can kind of use this to start generating some leads. Again, it's, carve out 10, 20 minutes a day, use this prompt right here with ChatGPT to get your message and then just, replace the lead name, and start blasting some people out. It's not something that has to be automated at scale. I would definitely recommend it. But if you're just starting out or you're kind of early in business, maybe it's just you don't have anybody on your team or you're not leveraging a CRM, you can just sit here and message out some of your leads that you're sitting on, and I guarantee you're going to start seeing some deals come in. So make sure before Janine, we move on here in like 3 seconds, just take a picture or a screenshot of this. And of course, we'll be on the recording as well. So yeah, next slide, Janine. Really the basics here that I want to kind of wrap up is just kind of the don'ts. I know everybody talks about like the do's and don'ts, where I just kind of talked about a lot of the do's. I want to talk about really quickly the don'ts here, which is just really making sure you're not putting like all caps in your messages, no spammy salesy words or super long messages like I was just talking about. Make sure you're not putting any links in your first message. Just keep it very straightforward, their name, give it a little context, and then asking a simple question. Keep the emojis kind of minimal. If you are on Android or you're sending from like a CRM, if you do put emojis, it might cost a little bit more. But if you're sending from your iPhone, honestly, feel free to put as many emojis as you want because those blue bubbles, it's not going to cost you anymore and usually kind of helps out a little bit, keeping them human. And then if you're doing this within a CRM as well, make sure you're kind of skimming through your list and verifying these numbers. So you're not just wasting money, sending a little bit of text to people, and then it's not even delivering to them, right? So making sure you're actually sending these to good approved numbers here. And then what happens when they reply? Next slide, Janine. Really, this is pretty straightforward. But again, once they reply back, they're interested, they want info, they kind of raise their hand. It's something kind of positive. Either route this, I guess this is kind of real estate centered, but either send this to yourself as the business owner or someone to help you out, like an ISA, internal sales agent, or a salesperson to make sure that they can close and convert that lead. And the biggest thing here to remember from this slide or remember for the DBR is that speed and follow through is really, really huge with this. Once they reply back and they say that there's something they're interested in, or you get that positive reply, once you garner that, definitely want to get on top of that lead as quick as possible. I'm sure we all know the kind of the 5 minute kind of speed to lead rule, right? Within 5 to 10 minutes, if you get back to a lead, your conversion rate is drastically higher than if you wait longer than that. So and with the other leads, again, the neutrals, the not interested, you can kind of sort those out however you'd like. I would suggest the not interested or the wrong kind of persons, you just remove them from your list and tag them in your system or just get rid of them so you're not hitting them up more and more accidentally. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up the everything I was talking about. Again, the next steps for both Pete and I, booking a quick strategy call with either one of us. We'll have our information on the next page here. Just stay connected with us. Yeah, I kind of like I said, flew through things pretty quick, but we'll have a quick recording to give out to you guys to make sure everybody can get all the information there. But feel free to reach out to us. And again, thanks for joining. Hopefully, you can use some of the frameworks here to not only generate more content, more leads with your content and the algorithm on Instagram, but also convert more of those leads into actual sales and clients. So
Well,
yeah.
thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Pete. This was wonderful. It's like this full circle, like how do algorithms, how to get the leads, how to nurture them, and then get the sales. So that was just wonderful. Also, just like Andrew said, reach out to us. We're definitely more than happy to share this PowerPoint with you, anybody that was on the call. So let us know. And then also the tip of the week. I'll first have
So
Pete go for that one.
yeah, so before we go into the tips, because we'd like to leave that as the very last, did any of you guys have any questions, or is there anything that we covered that you may not have understood, or just give it you guys the opportunity for a couple minutes to kind of chime in and see if there's let me see. So there's all right,
Either questions, anything you had for us about
Dominican
that, or
Republic,
maybe
Corpus
even just
Christi.
stating maybe your favorite part of the whole webinar here.
Okay,
Maybe it's something that
let
jumped
me
out at you.
let
Um,
me let me go through this really quickly. So okay, because if we're on this, then I have to probably, do this. Entonces, voy a comenzar con español. Dominica Republicana, okay. We
Nikki says, "What
have
is GEO?"
Corpus Christi, and then Clinton. Oh, il y a une personne de France ici. Okay, Clinton, bienvenue.
So really quick, before we dive into that, I'm going to stop the recording, but thank you
Mhm.
everybody. Definitely stay for Q&A. Pete and Andrew are here, but I want to say thank you, and this was amazing, and
Yeah,
have
let's
a
do the
wonderful
tips.
day, evening.
Let's do the tips really quickly. So mine are, you guys have to really understand that when you're posting this content, because there are two sides to this between him and I. The first one is it has to be high value and it's niche specific and it entertains, it inspires, and it also educates. And so in my what I teach a lot of these people during this is authenticity and making sure that you're focusing on those. So that is my tip, and obviously there's way more involved in each step of those. Andrew?
Yeah, I was gonna go with a different tip, but I'll switch it up here a little bit actually. Piggybacking onto what Pete was saying, I mentioned it in the webinar here, but I want to reiterate it. Don't let your leads collect digital dust. This is something I kind of state to a lot of agents is that, you'll sit on a ton of leads, you'll start generating them every month, but you'll only convert a fraction of the total that you're getting or a percentage, 20% maybe 30% if you're lucky, but the rest of them, don't let them collect digital dust. Re-engage with them, reactivate them, because it's a lot better and more cost effective than generating more newer leads. It's just re-engaging with the ones that you already have and sparking new opportunities from those. So don't let your leads collect digital dust.
Okay, and then
Wonderful.
the
Thank
question,
you.
generative engine optimization. So basically, it is the practice of optimizing the content that's to be discovered and how you can tap into that part of it outside of the SEO, which is the words, and then you have the GEO. So we can explain those on another call or individually with you guys. But thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate it. Have a great day, and I hope the weather is great wherever you guys are.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
everyone.
evening, and reach out to us.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, are we still I paused the recording, so anybody have any questions? Please feel free to ask the questions in the chat here.
Yeah, Nikki was asking what is GEO. Yeah, Pete just answered that. The
Okay.
generative engine optimization. Mm-mm-mm. I guess that should be it. But yeah, as long as nobody else has any questions or anything like that, I guess we'll hop out of here and kind of respect you
Okay.
guys' time. So again, really appreciate everybody for joining on here. And Pete, Janine, and I are definitely planning to do this a little bit more often, at least once a month, maybe twice a month here. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And again, really appreciate everybody for joining on here.
Okay, thank you guys. You guys rock.
All right, all right. Everybody
Bye-bye,
have a good one,
everybody.
man. All
Bye-bye.
right, bye bye.